Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 creepiest broadcast interruptions in history. So, most people think that television is kind of bland and watered down. Aside from the odd accidental swear word, nothing spontaneous ever seems to happen on live TV. Well, here are some times when TV and other broadcasts have been mysteriously hijacked and altered. Get ready to be creeped out and very confused. But before we get into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? Coming in at number 10 is Aliens. So this one took place in 1977 and was a live TV news interruption. One afternoon on the Southern Television Channel in the UK, Andrew Gardner was doing the news. However, all of a sudden things went odd. The image went distorted and then an odd voice began playing. The voice was from someone or something called Asteron, and he said he was part of the Intergalactic Association. Now, just for the record, there's apparently no such thing as the Intergalactic Association. Nevertheless, he delivered an odd message about society, humanity, and aliens. Asteron's message was rather cryptic to say the least, but it seemed to be about aliens and what humanity is doing wrong. Asteron continued his speech for 6 minutes until he was finished, and then he cut to Looney Tunes. The Southern Television Channel apologized afterwards, but they said they weren't sure who the guy was. The way he was able to get in was because Southern Television was not secured with a landline. This allowed their audio signal to be hacked, which allowed Asteron to deliver the strange message. At first, people thought it was someone who worked for a satellite company hacking the station. However, this was later found to be false. Back in 1977, it would have been very hard to hack a television station. And seeing as Asteron nor the Intergalactic Association were ever found out, some people blamed aliens for this. That's right, many said aliens tapped the signal to send humanity a message about alien existence. However, other more skeptical people say this was simply somebody with great hacking skills playing a prank. Listen to the audio and let me know what you think.
But, he says, there are conditions. These include stopping the execution of all captured prisoners of war, allowing Europe to take part in negotiations, being arrested. In Australia, Mr. Kerry Packer's cricketers are still pleading the right yesterday's High Court decision, which lifted the ban on them playing in Test matches.
This is the voice of Allah, representative of the Galactic Command.
Next up is Captain Midnight. You may know Captain Midnight as the American superhero who used to be a radio drummer in the 1940s. However, in 1986, HBO was hacked by somebody going by the pseudonym Captain Midnight. One afternoon, all was normal on the HBO channel. The movie Falcon and the Snowman was being shown, and millions of Americans were viewing it and having a good time. That was when all of a sudden the movie was interrupted by colourful bars. Then a message popped up on the screen. The message read, "Good evening HBO from Captain Midnight. $12.95 a month? No way. Showtime and Movie Channel? Beware." So it seems like somebody was complaining about how much you have to pay to get HBO. The message was on screen for about 5 minutes until HBO finally got the movie back on screen. In the bizarre message, it seemed to hint at Showtime and the Movie Channel being the next targets of this hacker. That was what caused the FCC to investigate this to stop any future hacks. It didn't take long before the FCC tracked down John R. McDougal. He was the man behind the pseudonym Captain Midnight. He was caught in a pretty dumb way as well. The way they found out about him doing the hack was because somebody overheard him boasting about it in a phone box in his hometown in Florida. However, John wasn't some kind of master hacker. You see, he worked as a controller for a satellite company which controlled HBO's satellite dish. But why did John do this? Well, before he was a satellite controller, he was a satellite dish installer. However, he was fired from this job after HBO's service rates went up. This caused him to not make any money from satellite dish installations, which is why he wrote the bad message. After being tracked down by the FCC very easily, he was arrested and charged. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison and a $5,000 fine. That's $1,000 for every minute he interrupted the movie. Next up is Russia. So unless you've been living under a rock for the past few years, we all know that Russia has been accused of a lot of hacking. They've been accused of hacking things from Facebook to secretly hacking elections. However, this is one Russian hack which isn't so secret, and there's no denying that this one took place, as it was recorded live on TV. One day, Maxim Waiters from the Securities and Exchange Commission was talking on C-SPAN. That was when all of a sudden their broadcast was hijacked by Russia Today. Russia Today is the state-owned media channel in Russia, and instead of showing Maxim Waiters on C-SPAN, it showed Russia Today's programming for 10 whole minutes. After the 10 minutes, it went back to C-SPAN, but it left viewers at home dumbfounded. Now, some say this could be a routing error, and at the time, C-SPAN themselves tweeted saying they expected that to be the case. However, many other people, including some C-SPAN employees, tweeted that they'd been hacked by Russia. And with all the talks of Russia hacking elections in the USA, some say Russia was behind this TV hack. It's not clear why they would want to do this, perhaps to make America look bad, or maybe to leave them uninformed as to what Maxim Waiters was trying to say. Could this have been a cover-up of something she was going to say? Or was this Putin trying to make America look weak and show Americans Russian propaganda? Perhaps not, and it really was just a routing error, but who knows? What do you think about this very mysterious broadcast interruption?
And literally obliterate.
Next up is Mystery Faces. So this one is incredibly scary and unsettling. In 2007, ABC showed something very strange. Out of nowhere, an old grainy photo of an elderly couple popped up on screen for a few seconds. The photos are nightmare fuel and look very unsettling. They remained on screen for around 7 seconds before it went back to regular programming. Now that would be strange on its own, but what's even stranger is nobody knows who these people are or where the photos are from. However, they look very sinister and unsettling. Now, ABC claims it was simply a glitch and the faces are frames from Oprah. However, these people do not look like Oprah or anyone who was ever on Oprah. This has led to many people saying that ABC was simply covering this up. Perhaps ABC don't even know who these people are. Or perhaps they do and they were covering up something more sinister. I've done a lot of digging on this, but nobody knows who these people are or where the image is from. This legitimately seems to be one of the biggest broadcasting mysteries of all time. What do you think the deal with these faces is? One thing's for sure, the photos are nightmare fuel. And if I was Oprah, I wouldn't exactly be flattered being compared to one of these guys. Next up is zombie apocalypse. So, we're used to hearing of zombie apocalypses in movies and TV shows, but I'm sure we would never expect a zombie apocalypse to actually happen in real life. Well, in 2013 in Montana, some people believed it had. During one showing of the Steve Wilkos show on KRTV in Montana, there was an alert saying a zombie apocalypse was underway. There was an alert sound with a very convincing audio file of a man saying a zombie apocalypse was happening. They said to stay inside and follow instructions on the screen. Now, you may think people assumed this was a joke. But no, most people in Montana actually believed this was real. Now it seems crazy and you may be laughing at these people, but if this alert came up on your TV, you might believe it too. I mean, just imagine, it would be pretty scary and you wouldn't assume your TV station was being hacked. It didn't take long before 911 received thousands of calls about a zombie apocalypse. This caused KTR to quickly debunk this and say they got hacked. It's not clear why the hacker did what they did, but they assume it was a joke. The strange thing is, the FBI investigated this and they confirmed the hack wasn't coming from America, but from abroad. Some say this was someone who knows more than we do sending a message, while others say it was simply a joke. But what do you think?
Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the messages on screen that will be updated as information becomes available. Do not attempt to approach or apprehend these bodies as they are considered extremely dangerous.
Next up is Max Headroom. So, for those who don't know, Max Headroom is a fictional AI character created in Britain. He was first made in 1984 and appeared in the movie Max Headroom 20 Minutes into the Future. Well, in 1987, the same character was used for one of the creepiest broadcast interruptions in history. Somebody dressed in a Max Headroom mask first tried to interrupt Doctor Who. However, that didn't work. A few hours later, during the news on a Chicago TV station, the transmission was distorted. All of a sudden, somebody in a Max Headroom mask popped up on screen wearing sunglasses. The video was very distorted and the camera was swaying from left to right. In the background was a sheet of metal, which is similar to the real background of Max Headroom. The hacking was taking place live, as the guy called one of the news pundits a frickin' liberal and a frickin' nerd. He then began screaming, laughing, and moaning. This went on for a while, and then the guy began saying product phrases. He even said the Coca-Cola ad slogan while holding a a can of Pepsi. This may be because Max Headroom used to be the mascot for New Coke. He then called out some more Chicago-based media outlets, and even called a few journalists newspaper nerds. Some say this was simply a joke, while others say it was something more sinister. However, this hack was never caught, despite hacking into the TV station twice. It's since gone down as one of the most bizarre signal intrusions ever. Next up is God. So this one is very bizarre, and it took place on the Playboy channel. One day on the Playboy channel, there was a movie called 3 Daughters on. Now, as you can imagine from the title, what was going on in the movie was less than holy. But that was when the movie's naughty viewers got an unexpected message from God. The message from God appeared on a black background in white text. It claimed to be from God himself and said, "Remember the Sabbath." There were then some other Bible verses from Matthew. Now, you may be thinking this is very strange, and it is. However, you may also laugh at this and assume it was a joke. I mean, why would God want to hack Playboy channel? Well, it turned out to not be a joke at all. In fact, it was somebody with a pretty clear motive. One man named Thomas Haney from a Christian TV network was found to be behind the hijacking. Now, the Christian network he worked for denied this, however he was charged with 2 years in jail. He was also given 100 hours of community service and had to pay a $100 fine. However, he was able to preach God's word to an unexpected audience, so maybe he got what he wanted. It's funny, as one might assume this was a prank. However, somebody actually wanted to stop people from watching this movie and to remember the Sabbath instead. I'm sure whoever experienced this hijacking will never forget the Sabbath now. Next up is UVB-76. So this is an incredibly eerie and unexplained broadcast. Ever since 1982, something called the buzzer can be heard from Moscow, Russia. It's a constant buzzing which changes pitch 25 times a day, all day. In case you don't know what a number station is, it's a way to send coded messages through transmissions. Now, the buzz itself is incredibly ghostly, but it does actually have a meaning. However, it's a coded meaning which only Russian spies would know about. Occasionally, the buzzing is interrupted by a voice in Russian. However, the voice simply says seemingly random letters and names, such as Dmitry and Vladimir. It's pretty obvious there's some kind of code going on.
Mikhail, Dmitry, Zhenya, Boris. Mikhail, Dmitry, Zhenya, Boris. 85, 343. Konstantin, Roman, Ivan, Nikolai.
Now, the Russian government deny this being in existence. However, many explorers have actually gone to the site of UVB-76 in Russia. So it definitely does exist, however those who have explored there say it's abandoned. But this simply doesn't make sense, as it's still broadcast all over Europe and a Russian voice can be heard from time to time. What do you think is going on with UVB-76? And what do you think the secret messages really mean? Is it sinister orders towards spies? Or could it be something even more bizarre? Next up is political hijacking. So, TV is a great way to get messages across, and that includes political messages. I'm sure you'll remember the political ads during the US election. Well, here is an example of an ad being forced onto the air. One day back in the 1980s, a Polish state TV station was hacked. During a news transmission, a communist political party named Solidarity hijacked the station. They then delivered a message about workers' rights and prices of food. You see, the Polish government had recently increased food prices but not wages of workers. This meant many poor Polish people were starving and hungry. That was when Solidarity knew enough was enough, so they hijacked the station. A text message on screen came up saying enough price increases, lies and oppression. Then another message told people to boycott the upcoming election. And while they did support Solidarity, it turns out they weren't even a part of them. They were actually 2 university students studying astrology in Toruń University in Poland. However, after being rightfully outraged by the government, they decided to hack the news. Even so, this is a very mysterious and kind of eerie hacking. Let me know if you think a hacking like this will ever take place in America.
Nuklearnych średniego zasięgu I zawiesił podejmowanie kontrposunięć na instalowane
Next up is Naughty Hijacker. So this is actually 2 hijackings which many people say were committed by the same guy. One day during a showing of Handy Manny, the Disney Channel was hacked. Now of course, being the Disney Channel, many kids were watching. That's why it's pretty troubling to know that an X-rated video was shown over Handy Manny. It was shown for quite a while and only happened to Comcast customers. Comcast apologized for this and said it would never happen again. However, they were wrong. Just weeks later, the same thing happened once again. During coverage of the Super Bowl of all things, the same clip was shown again. Of course, many families were watching the Super Bowl and they all saw the X-rated video in front of their very eyes. Yikes, just imagine being in the room with your parents while watching that. Talk about an awkward Super Bowl Sunday. Now, some people think this is pretty funny and was simply a hacker joking around. However, some say the intention is much darker. A few say they're trying to corrupt children. A few say the intent was to corrupt children, as this was shown on Disney Channel and the Super Bowl, where kids may be watching. But what do you think? Was this all one big joke or something much more sinister? Check out the poll in the top right corner and vote for the most mysterious broadcast interruption in history. And be sure to check out my second channel too. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment, so click the link to check it out. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what you're waiting for, subscribe to Top 10s.